What if I told you that Jesus once revealed a teaching so mysterious, so dangerous to the illusions of this world, that most people passed over it without ever seeing it? A teaching not about blind belief, but about the hidden eye within you. The eye that perceives truth directly, beyond the illusions of men, beyond the masks of society, beyond even the chains of fear and death. Pause for a moment. Have you ever noticed how you can have everything, money, comfort, status, and yet feel a haunting emptiness inside? You achieve one goal and another craving appears. You buy one thing and immediately desire another. It is as though we are all searching in the dark, fumbling with our hands, never realizing that the lamp has always been hidden within us. This video will take you into one of the most secret teachings of Jesus, his revelation of the single eye, the gateway to awakening, to what many call Christ consciousness. You will learn what the third eye truly means, why Jesus spoke about it, how science and psychology explain it, and most importantly, how to awaken it in your own life. But a warning: if you drift away, if you let your mind wander and miss what is revealed here, you may walk away unchanged, still searching outside, still blinded by the world's illusions. Yet if you stay, and if you dare to listen with the hidden ear inside you, this may become the moment everything begins to shift. The forgotten Jesus, why his deeper teachings were hidden too. The forgotten Jesus, why his deeper teachings were hidden. Jesus rarely spoke in plain words. He wrapped his truths in parables, in riddles, in sayings that seemed simple on the surface but held a hidden key for those willing to look deeper. Why? Because not every teaching was meant for everyone. He often said, "He that has ears to hear, let him hear." Think about that for a moment. Everyone has ears, but not everyone hears. Everyone has eyes, but not everyone sees. He was pointing to a higher kind of perception, the perception of the soul, not just the senses. In the Gospel of Thomas, one of the most mysterious texts discovered in the sands of Egypt, Jesus says, "The kingdom is inside of you, and it is outside of you. When you come to know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize that it is you who are the children of the living Father." These are not the words of someone teaching rules or rituals. These are the words of a master pointing inward, toward the eye that reveals the true kingdom. And yet, history shows us what happens when truths like these are spoken too boldly. Authorities feared what could not be controlled. Over time, layers of doctrine, tradition, and literal interpretation began to bury the mystical side of Jesus' message. What was once a living fire became covered in ash. Imagine a treasure chest hidden in your own home. Generations live there, passing by it daily, never daring to open it. That is how Jesus' deeper wisdom has remained, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the one who dares to look closer. What is the third eye? 3. What is the third eye? The phrase, third eye, might sound mystical, even otherworldly, but it is not as far from you as you think. In its simplest sense, the third eye is the symbol of inner vision, the ability to perceive reality beyond the surface. It is the eye of intuition, of wisdom, of spiritual clarity. Across the world's traditions, this idea appears again and again. In ancient India, sages spoke of the Ajna chakra, the energy center between the eyebrows, the seat of higher knowing. In Buddhist art, the enlightened ones are often depicted with a subtle mark on their forehead, signifying the eye of wisdom. And in Christianity itself, Jesus points directly to this mystery when he says, "If your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light." Matthew 6:22. But what does this mean for us in the modern world? Scientists point to a small gland in the center of the brain, the pineal gland. The philosopher René Descartes once called it the seat of the soul. It regulates sleep cycles of day and night, and some researchers believe it plays a role in mystical experiences. It is as if biology itself hints at what the mystics have always known. There is an inner organ of perception waiting to be awakened. You've already felt glimpses of it. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately sensed tension, even before anyone spoke? Have you ever had a sudden gut feeling about a decision that later proved true? These flashes are the whispers of the third eye, brief openings into a perception that goes beyond logic. The third eye is not about escaping reality. It is about seeing it more clearly than ever before. Jesus' teaching of the single eyes, biblical reference 4. Jesus' teaching of the single eyes, biblical reference in the Gospel of Matthew. Jesus speaks a line that most readers pass by without pause. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, thy whole body shall be full of darkness. Matthew 6:22-23. At first glance, this seems puzzling. We know we have two physical eyes, so what is this single eye that fills the body with light? Think of a lamp placed in a dark room. The moment you ignite it, shadows vanish and the shapes around you become clear. The single eye is that lamp inside, the awakened perception that allows you to see reality as it truly is. When this inner vision opens, confusion dissolves. The world no longer feels random or meaningless. Patterns appear. Truth shines through. But when this eye remains closed, even the brightest life feels dim. We stumble in the dark, chasing fleeting pleasures, grasping at shadows. Our thoughts scatter, our emotions pull us in every direction, and we feel trapped in cycles of confusion. Jesus was not speaking about eyesight, but insight. He was pointing to an interior awakening, a way of seeing not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of spirit. And here lies the hidden teaching. The single eye is the third eye, the doorway to Christ consciousness, the very faculty that, once opened, makes the soul radiant with light. Christ consciousness beyond religion 5. Christ consciousness beyond religion. When most people hear the word Christ, they immediately think of religion, rituals, and doctrines. But Christ consciousness is not about belonging to a particular church or memorizing sacred verses. It is a state of being, a higher vibration of awareness where your thoughts, actions, and vision align with divine truth. To live in Christ consciousness is to awaken the single eye. It is to see with clarity, to move beyond judgment, and to embody love in its purest form. Imagine standing at the center of a storm, winds raging, lightning flashing, and yet inside, you remain still, calm, untouched. That inner stillness, that clarity of sight is what arises when Christ consciousness dawns. Think of the difference between a candle and the sun. Ordinary human awareness is like the flicker of a candle, fragile, easily swayed by the slightest breeze. But Christ consciousness is like the sun itself, steady, illuminating, untouchable. With this light, you begin to see beyond surface appearances. You see the pain behind anger, the longing behind greed, the truth hidden beneath illusion. This awakening is not reserved for monks or saints. It is available to anyone who dares to open the inner eye. When a person forgives instead of retaliates, when they choose truth over comfort, when they act from love instead of fear, they are already touching Christ consciousness. It is not about leaving the world, but about seeing it differently. The same streets, the same faces, the same daily struggles, but perceived with a vision filled with light, not shadow. The science and psychology of the third eye 6. The science and psychology of the third eye mystics spoke of the third eye for thousands of years, but modern science has begun to uncover fascinating hints that may connect with this ancient wisdom. Deep inside the human brain rests a tiny pinecone-shaped structure, the pineal gland. Though small, this gland plays a powerful role in regulating sleep cycles, producing melatonin, and guiding the body's natural rhythms. The philosopher René Descartes, often called the father of modern philosophy, believed the pineal gland was the seat of the soul. While his claim may sound poetic, science has noticed peculiarities. The pineal is light-sensitive, and its structure in many animals is linked to sensing patterns of light and dark. Some researchers have speculated it may be connected to altered states of consciousness. From a psychological perspective, the third eye represents intuition and higher awareness. It is the faculty that sees connections where others see only chaos. Think of a chess master who looks at the board and immediately perceives 10 moves ahead, or an artist who senses beauty in forms others overlook, or those sudden, striking moments when you feel you already know the right decision, even before your mind has reasoned it out. But here's the challenge in our modern age: this inner sight grows dull. Screens flash endlessly. Notifications flood our minds. Noise fills every waking moment. The more distracted we become, the less sensitive we are to that subtle inner whisper. Like a muscle that weakens when never used, the third eye closes when neglected, and yet silence, meditation, and conscious awareness reactivate this forgotten faculty. Science shows that mindfulness practices reshape the brain, strengthening regions tied to clarity, focus, and peace, the very qualities linked with awakening the inner eye. How to awaken the third eye's practical steps 7. How to awaken the third eye's practical steps. The third eye does not open by accident. It awakens through intention, discipline, and alignment. The path is simple, but it demands consistency. Step 1: silence and meditation. The first doorway is silence. Just as muddy water clears when left undisturbed, so too does the mind settle when we practice stillness. Begin with a few minutes each day. Sit, close your eyes, and focus gently between your eyebrows. You may not see visions or lights immediately, but patience is the seed. Over time, awareness sharpens. Step 2: breath and presence. The breath is the bridge between body and spirit. Inhaling deeply, exhaling slowly, you anchor yourself to the present moment. Modern science confirms that deep breathing calms the nervous system and restores balance. Mystics knew this long before labs proved it. When the breath is steady, the inner eye begins to open. Step 3: integrity and inner alignment. The third eye cannot awaken in a life built on lies, greed, or self-deception. To see truth, one must live truth. Every time you choose honesty over convenience, every time you act with compassion instead of selfishness, you polish the lens of the inner eye. A life aligned with truth is a fertile ground for awakening. Step 4: contemplation of Jesus' sayings. When you read Jesus' parables with symbolic eyes, they begin to reveal hidden treasures. For example, "The kingdom of God is within you," becomes not just a phrase, but an invitation inward. Reflecting deeply on these words is itself an act of awakening. Awakening the third eye is not about escaping the world. It is about walking through it with clarity, seeing beyond the surface, guided by a vision that shines from within. Dangers of a closed eye. 8. Dangers of a closed eye. What happens when the inner eye remains closed? The answer is all around us. Look at the endless chase for pleasure. More money, more possessions, more recognition. Yet still, the soul feels starved. Look at the addictions to screens, substances, and shallow distractions. Look at the anxiety and confusion that plague modern minds. These are not random, they are symptoms of living blind. Imagine a person locked in a cave. On the walls flicker shadows, and they spend their whole life chasing these shadows, never realizing there is a sun outside, waiting to be seen. This is the danger of the closed eye, mistaking illusions for truth, mistaking shadows for reality. Psychology echoes this as well. When perception is clouded, we fall prey to projection, fear, and false desires. We think happiness lies in the next purchase, the next relationship, the next escape, yet the hunger only grows. Without awakening the inner eye, people are trapped in cycles that repeat endlessly. Jesus warned of this darkness when he said, "But if your eye is evil, your whole body shall be full of darkness." Evil here does not simply mean immoral, it means divided, unfocused, distracted. When the eye is split, scattered among 1,000 illusions, the inner light cannot shine through. The danger is not only missing truth, it is wasting the gift of life itself. A closed eye leaves us wandering in circles, seeking outward what can only be found within. The promise of the single eye 9. The promise of the single eye, when the inner eye awakens, life itself changes, not on the outside, but in how you see. Suddenly, the same world that once felt heavy becomes radiant with meaning. The same problems that once crushed you appear as lessons. The same people who once seemed ordinary reveal hidden depths. This is what Jesus meant when he said, "If your eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light." With the third eye open, clarity replaces confusion, peace replaces turmoil, and love replaces fear. It is not an escape from reality. It is reality unveiled. Christ consciousness is not a mystical escape into clouds, but a practical illumination of daily life. You see through lies, through illusions, through distractions, and you live with integrity, compassion, and strength. The promise of the single eye is freedom, freedom from blindness, freedom from fear, freedom from the endless hunger of the ego. To awaken it is to finally live as you were meant to live in light. 10. Conclusions call to inner action. So now the question returns to you, will you continue living with eyes closed, chasing shadows on the wall, or will you dare to awaken the hidden eye within? From the beginning, Jesus hinted at this secret. The parables, the riddles, the mysterious line about the single eye. All of it was pointing toward a higher vision. A vision that sees not just with flesh, but with spirit. A vision that reveals the kingdom already present, here and now. The third eye is not fantasy. It is the shift from blindness to clarity, from chaos to peace, from fear to truth. It is Christ consciousness, an awakened way of being available to every human soul. But it does not open by accident. It requires silence, reflection, honesty, and the courage to face yourself. If you let this teaching slip away, nothing changes. You return to the cycle of distraction. But if you hold on to it, if you dare to practice, even in small ways, then light begins to pour in. Remember this, the eye you awaken today may be the eye that saves you tomorrow. The choice is yours. If this message awakened something within you, let it not fade. Comment, "I understood Jesus' words." Like this video to keep the truth flowing. Share it so another seeker may awaken. Subscribe so you never miss the next revelation.